shot in the air. It's good.
Last night.
Finds the Wallace. Barkley puts it up. Does it count? It does. Shanko good. Shanko battle center. It's good. Oh my goodness.
Hello and welcome everybody into another edition of the Solar Panel, whether you're watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. If you have an old TV and you found some way to get the rabbit ears to pick us up, or wherever you're listening to us on podcasts, we appreciate you, the Flaming Ballers, more than you know.
Shout out to Cordes Junction, Arizona. Here we go.
Oh, that's who's doing the rabbit ears. Oh,
I am your host, Greg Esposito. Oh, hoy, hoy. And joining me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend. It's DeVito King. Dave, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty awesome.
See,
Suns at 4, baby.
Don't jokingly say anything before the show because it likely will show up in the show. And the man who's always, on top of his game and looking suave, it is the Carmel Thunder from Down Under. Saul, how are you, my friend?
Fellas, how we doing today?
Hey, not going to Hooters with the fellas because the missus isn't a fan. So
All right. Well, hey.
Who wants to go to Applebee's with the fellas? That's what the married guys say.
4 Peaks.
4 Peaks. There we go.
It's always an interesting week in Suns world. Even when you think you got an entire week off, nothing's gonna happen, and you can enjoy
We had a
other
whole
people
show
playing
ready
basketball.
without even thinking the Suns had an opponent for the Western Conference Finals. We
Yeah,
were
we
ready
did.
to go, and now what do we do? Yeah.
I feel like Devin Booker getting snubbed for All NBA was like 14 weeks ago.
Yeah. So true.
That
true.
was this week, wasn't it?
It was, and we actually thought it was going to be part of the show, and I think this will be the only mention of it because there's so much to talk about in this week. And before we get into who they're going to play, let's start with Devin Booker and just get it out of the way. Team USA for Devin Booker. Congrats. Flex from Jersey insinuated it. A lot of guesses as to what Flex was trying to hint at on the last episode of the program. He said there would be a big positive announcement, and people went wild with what that meant. I don't know if Team USA was what anybody was expecting, but that is
just for clarification. This was after Chris Paul got COVID.
Yes,
that wasn't the positive announcement he was talking about.
No positive test. He was talking about something to make us feel better. And Devin Booker playing for Team USA. Some people, I listened to way too much yesterday and read way too much. Some people actually ripping the fact that Devin Booker, or not ripping, but questioning the fact of, is this a good thing? Should he rest? All these. Celebrate the fact that he's recognized. We pounded the drum for so damn long that this guy gets no national attention, no respect. Well, being named to Team USA is a big amount of respect.
The other part of that is somebody in the chat just said it. It's a great opportunity to recruit. And if you don't think Devin Booker isn't trying to get some other superstars on this team, you're hiding out of your mind because it's going to happen.
Yeah, because other teams obviously are hoping that their guy will recruit Devin Booker, but it's the other way around, man. That guy is committed here. He knows this is where he wants to be. He knows this is where he wants a super team. What I love about the Olympic team is Devin Booker was already selected as one of the 12. It's not like he's just one of a pool of 40 that's going to go to a tryout. He's one of the 12. And this is a huge leap from just 2 years ago when he was named to the All-Star game after Damian Lillard's injury. He was just happy to be there basically and barely played, and he got that putback dunk, but he basically barely played. Now he's going to be one of the 12 on the Olympic team. Will this feel like the Pan Am Games at some point? Maybe, because a lot of guys are going to be opting out. But already, what did we hear? Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard,
Yep.
Draymond Green for some reason. Is he an international type player? I don't know about Draymond Green. But anyway, Tatum and Lillard, that's going to be a fun group.
Hey, so finally Draymond's getting Book out of Phoenix. He's taking him to Japan. So congratulations,
Come on, man,
Draymond.
out of Phoenix. We're going to Tokyo. That's right.
Look, there's a chance that he can't go because if the Suns, I know people will get mad by saying if, but I'm not going to piss off the basketball gods. If the Suns make the finals, that could complicate things. As if that series goes 7 games, I believe the first game in Tokyo is a day later. So obviously, unless Devin has some supersonic jet we're not aware of, I don't think that he'd be making it.
Well, at this rate, the Suns and 4 guy might be able to hook him up. That guy's getting
USA
so popular.
and 4.
Yeah.
I feel like now we're required to punch somebody. I feel like now we're required to punch somebody in the face if we make a prediction. Like, do we have to go full hockey fight? I'm as heavy as he is. I'm just about a foot shorter than him, I think. So.
He's a big dude. Like I was saying, like he's a big dude, and he does cameo appearances now, which I think is kind of like, okay,
it's
whatever.
Yours, right?
Hey, but look, all I'm happy about is
milk it for everything you can.
Milk it, exactly. If Devin Booker gets to go to Tokyo as soon as the finals are over, at least he won't be stuck getting double teamed in an open gym during the summer. So.
He'll just be busting fools from Cambodia that are double teaming him. It'll be great. So
hey, nobody can clown those guys like Charles Barkley did in '92. So it'll be great.
Look, I don't begrudge anybody for doing cameos. So if you want an Espo cameo, hit me up. We can do a bootleg cameo just for you and yours. It's fine. So let's get to the big news. Nobody's here to hear us talk about Team USA. As happy as we are for Devin Booker, we know who the Phoenix Suns are taking on in the Western Conference Finals. And somewhere the basketball gods are in the corner going, how the hell did this happen? Yeah. It's the Phoenix Suns versus the Los Angeles Clippers. That's right. The Clippers, the first time that they've ever made the Western Conference Finals in 51 years and a million curses, versus the Phoenix Suns, who have had their own long line of curses.
999,000
relative to the Clippers.
To their 1 million.
Yeah, well, but the Clippers are saying, look, you got nothing on us.
This is true.
Suns are good lucky franchise compared to the Clippers.
Yeah.
Look, the Suns are the ones that have dated a bunch of people and have gotten screwed in every relationship, and the Clippers are the 50-year-old virgin. All right, neither are great places to be, but you know,
the first one's not so bad.
But at least you got your beak wet a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
That's true.
I was gonna say, what's so wrong with that first one?
Look, crushing disappointment is difficult too. Wondering what it feels like is one thing.
Crushing disappointment. I was looking at a different connotation for getting screwed every time.
I
think Saul was too.
All right. Well, that's
Carmel
fair.
Thunder was too.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I inadvertently just revealed myself as the nerd virgin, and you two are the ones that got your beaks wet.
Yeah, you didn't say
often.
Screwed over. You just said screwed.
So look, we've got. This is going to be an interesting series. Uncharted territory, obviously, for the Lakers fans who are now wearing Clippers jerseys because they've never seen their second favorite team, the Clippers, in the Western Conference Finals. But the fact that this matchup is clouded in numerous ways, right? You've got the Clippers acting like they're Illuminati when they're talking about Kawhi Leonard. There's no confirmation as to what's going on with Kawhi, how long he's out, if he has any chance of playing in this series. It's totally shrouded in mystery. And then on the Suns,
funny is there was that Terrence Mann celebration video that was shown around. I saw it on Twitter where they, pouring, I guess, just water on him in the locker room, and Kawhi is off in the corner, didn't get off of his chair, was clapping from his chair. So me, as a Suns fan, is going, oh man, his knee's so bad he can't even stand up to cheer his teammates when they win the conference, get into the conference finals. Clippers fans are like, dude, he's so chill. I love that guy. It's like,
that's Kawhi. Clapping is like an impressive amount of emotion coming out of Kawhi Leonard, right? And it's extremely loud with hands that large as well when Kawhi's clapping. But look, you've got that, and then obviously we're recording this at 8 a.m. on Saturday, so we don't have anything official on CP3, but there's all the confusion about what's going on with CP3. Will he still be in health and safety protocols when game 1 on Sunday at 12:30 rolls around? My gut's telling me yes, based on everything I've heard and the thoughts of viral load that have been dancing in my head at night after we talked with Flex. My guess is he's out game 1. So you've got both teams down, at least to start this series, a superstar. So when you're looking
all
at
NBA player.
Yeah, when you're looking at this, guys, what do you make of at least game 1 where we're sitting here and what we know about these two teams? So why don't we start with you?
Well, I mean, game 1's probably it's always important, right? But I think game 1 out of any of the games in this series is going to be kind of a wild card, especially if CP3 is not going to play. That's probably the one where if the Clippers really want to win this series, they have to win game 1 on the road because you don't have CP3 in the fold. I think if CP3 comes back, obviously that dynamic changes greatly. So it's going to be loud. That's the benefit of the Suns right now, that they're the best team in the NBA left. That's what it is. And they have home court advantage throughout the rest of the playoffs. If they take care of business, the NBA Finals will start here. So the ball is completely in their court. And I think if you're going to come out, and I do expect the Suns, they're fresh. That's the best thing about this. They're fresh. They've sat out for a week, so there might be a little bit of rust in the first quarter. But I think after they get through that first quarter, kind of get those jitters out and whatever, I think you'll start to see them wear down the Clippers in the second half. That would be my prediction in this first game, because the Clippers are coming off back to back games. And that was a physical series, and that was taxing on them. Paul George, I mean, he had to carry that load for quite a while. And Terrence Mann, I don't even know what the hell happened there last night. That was crazy. Good for that kid. But it's a different animal when you're coming to Phoenix with this rabid fan base who's just as thirsty to get to the NBA Finals as a Clipper fan base.
Oh, come on.
I love Espo's prediction of what's going to happen with Chris Paul. You got to share that with us, Espo.
Which prediction?
When Chris Paul's going to show up for the... come on,
I don't remember this prediction.
That was your best tweet. Chris Paul's going to show up by coming in through the secret tunnel.
Oh, the secret tunnel, yeah. Well, no, look.
He's gonna do a strut out the secret tunnel and say, "I'm ready. I'm here."
Yeah, well, no, I think.
But
also,
I'm so positive for COVID. Give me hugs to the Clippers.
Yeah, he's just gonna sneak into the Clippers locker room and go, "Everybody, especially the unvaccinated, come hang out with me, boys.
How's it going?"
Pandemic P. Let's give you some of the plague. We're here for you.
Pandemic P.
Yeah. Look, I just these first few games I think are going to come down to let Deandre Ayton eat. Right? They're going to try this small ball crap that they did against Utah, and I don't think that works against a Deandre Ayton who's much more athletic than Rudy Gobert. Right? Sure, he's not as good defensively. Rudy Gobert is a 3-time defensive player of the year, but Deandre Ayton is more athletic and can punish you on the offensive end, which Rudy Gobert isn't going to do. I think this is the key at the beginning of the series to kind of set the tone. Very much like DeAndre Ayton did in game 1 against the Lakers. Come out and dominate in that first game and make it clear that the Clippers can't ignore you. They cannot play small and just not think you're going to be a factor. Dominate that first game, and that's key.
Guys, we've had this conversation at least 100 times in the last 3 years, and every single time the answer is the same. I'm not as excited about DeAndre Ayton offensively as you guys seem to be, and every single time the Suns play a team without a center, we all expect DeAndre Ayton to eat. Everybody expects him to get 30 points. The dude is not that kind of player. He's not going to get big points against the centers if they're playing 5 out and the Suns aren't going for that. It's just, he's never been a guy who gets up for playing a 6'8" guy who's 200 pounds. He just doesn't do that.
But he's also completely flipped that script in the playoffs. specifically in the playoffs, right?
He hasn't played any 6'8", 200-pounders.
Well, I mean, you can't cut the man's hands off before he steals anything. Geez, like give him a chance to see if he can do something in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like now that first of all, CP3 being out changes the mindset of everybody on that team. Everybody else knows that they have to step up to some degree. I think Deandre Ayton is no different in this scenario. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to come out and drop 30, but you just have to punish the Clippers enough to make them respect the fact that you're down low. If they don't do that, then yes, they're going to get exposed just like the Jazz were. But if they can make the Clippers stay honest, just honest enough on the offensive side that they have to concern themselves about, going small against the Suns, that's the only difference that you really want to make.
Yeah, I don't need 30 points. I need the 22 and 12 that he got against the Lakers. Like that's what I need, just to set a tone, just to make it clear you're not going to be able to try to do what you did against the Jazz, because that's a clear unlike if they had faced the Jazz, that's a clear advantage for the Suns is the center position.
I'm expecting a 14 and 12 series from him, not a 20 and 12 or anything like that. It's okay though. The Suns can still win in 5 games. The Suns still could win in 6 games. All I'm saying is the key to that series is not going to be Deandre Ayton, whether he gets 20 plus points and eats offensively against Nick Batum. The key to the series is who's making the threes for the Suns when they need to make them. Is Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, Torrey Craig. Those guys are great perimeter defenders. Are they defending the perimeter well? Are they making their threes on their end and keeping the Clippers honest that way? Absolutely. When Chris Paul is back, he's going to make sure he makes the Clippers pay for whatever defense they're playing. And yes, I would expect when Chris Paul wants to, he's going to drop back in there. He's going to get the ball to Deandre Ayton on the roll. But it depends on what the Clippers do. It all depends on what the Clippers do. If the Clippers decide they're going to all sink down on Ayton, guess what? Chris Paul and Devin Booker are going to make 150 mid-rangers in the series, just like Denver did. He only averaged 14 a game against Denver, despite Nikola Jokic being a pile of cement in the middle. That's just the way it's okay. Because if Chris Paul and Devin Booker get 25 points from mid-range every single game, Chris Paul averaged 16.5 mid-range points a game against the Clippers. Not total points, 16.5 mid-range points just on his own pull-up jump shoot. That's what he's going to do. If you're the Lakers, then yeah, Deandre Ayton will get 20 because they decide to let they decide to guard the mid-range. If you guys, and I'm sure you guys remember, the Lakers guarded right there where Paul and Booker want to shoot, right around the edge of the free throw line. So it depends on what the Clippers are going to do defensively. They don't need to have size to neutralize Ayton, but they won't be able to neutralize the Suns' offense. That's all I'm trying to say. The Suns winning and losing has nothing to do with whether Ayton gets all the points. It has to do with Ayton being decisive when he gets his opportunities. He's been decisive in the playoff. Saul, to your point, Ayton's been very decisive when he gets the ball. He's catching in a crowd. He's finishing when he needs to. He's not just standing there shaking, holding the ball, waiting to pass it out to somebody. That's awesome. That needs to continue. Let's just not look at the box score to decide how well he did. That's all. No,
like I said, it's with DA, it's never about the amount of anything. It's always about the impact he makes to keep everybody honest, right? People are going to look at these box scores, I have a feeling, and let's say the Suns lose a game. They're going to look at DA and blame him for everything that goes on defensively. He's a mismatch on the perimeter.
People are blaming Gobert.
Gobert, right? And there's a part of this that the defensive strategy needs to come in as well. There are going to be times where maybe somebody's just cooking for the Clippers, or the whole team is cooking. Mm-hmm. You might have to switch DA out and put a smaller guy, like bring in a Cam Johnson and go 3 wings instead of just 2. Those are the types of adjustments that you get, and Torrey Craig being a part of this is huge. That acquisition right now in this very moment is the biggest acquisition of the season, and I can't wait to see this series. Let's also pump the brakes on the Clippers for a second. I have to say this out loud. Frank Jackson was unbelievable in game 4 or 5, game 5, right?
Reggie Jackson.
Right? Reggie Jackson. I'm sorry, Reggie
Oh
Jackson.
my
Frank
Sorry, Frank
God.
Jackson. I was like, as soon as I said that, I was like, wait,
Frank.
Don't give me crap for calling
Reggie
you
Jackson.
Paul.
My bad.
Hey,
Yeah.
I get that Terrence Mann was an unknown name, and but
whatever.
but Reggie Jackson,
Reggie Jackson, whatever. Reggie Jackson.
I'm pretty comfortable Chris Paul's going to get in Reggie Jackson's head.
Reggie Jackson going crazy in game 5, and then Terrence Mann going crazy in game 6.
Yeah.
Those are not the norm. Okay. And so if you think as a Clippers fan, you're going to be able to rely on that for this entire series with the better defensive players, I believe that the Suns were a better defensive team than the Jazz, more athletic, and more suited to be able to handle the Clippers than the Jazz were.
I got to stat me if you're ready.
Hold on. You did a reach around stat me in that
you did.
With the Chris Paul mid range too. Like Dave's just going to stat you left and right today.
I snuck that one in, didn't I?
Hey.
Ooh, Dave, stat me.
Those dudes, Terrence Mann and Reggie Jackson, on Friday night in that Suns Clippers game, 19 of 24. From the field. 19 it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen again.
Insane.
You're right, Saul. I was just supporting you with a stat me. Thanks.
Appreciate you.
This comes down to, do you trust? I think in a lot of ways this comes down to, do you trust Devin Booker more than you trust Paul George? To me, the answer is yes. From what we've seen in the playoffs. I mean, that's I think this series is going to very much come down to that, especially in games that CP3 isn't playing.
Sorry, I got to clarify that. That was second half only. The 19 of 24 in the second half only.
That I would normally agree with you, Espo, but I mean, I'm not going to discredit Paul George, especially once Kawhi left. I think Paul George was one of the best players in the NBA in the last 2 games. Like, he was super solid. He did everything his team asked for him. Usually I would be calling him pandemic P, but playoff P seems to be coming back in a very real way. So I'm not going to discredit Paul George. I'll give credit where credit is due.
I'm not discrediting. I'm just saying at this point, I feel more, I'm biased. Guess what? I'm doing a Sun show, but I feel more comfortable with Devin Booker than Paul George in this moment right now, especially where if it comes down to one of these guys has to carry their team and hit the big shot in the last moment. Devin Booker has proven that against the Clippers. Devin Booker has done it against the full strength Clippers. So I just feel better in that case. But look, I want to talk about Chris Paul and his what seems to be a curse. We do have a clip. Let's look at this clip from Barstool Sports that I think encapsulates a lot of what all of us think when it comes to CP3.
Appears to be doing everything that it possibly can to keep Chris Paul from getting a title. First, it was David Stern blocking a trade to get Chris Paul to be a Laker. Still, no idea why that happened. It was inexplicable. Then he goes to the Clippers, where Scott Foster begins his reign. 0-11 in playoff games where Scott Foster starts officiating. Then a fully vaccinated CP3 who is on his way to a title. A fully vaccinated CP3 has to contract COVID. Has to, quote unquote, contract COVID. Out indefinitely. I don't know who the league hates more, Chris Paul or the Phoenix Suns. Because it feels like this is a perfect storm where the Venn diagram comes together in a perfect the league hates you moment. Here's an idea. Maybe just retest them. This fishiness level is very high, in my opinion. It's like macro level fishiness.
Oh, first off, I don't know what that accent she's got going on, but
that was weird.
Funny.
Where's she from?
But
is that what forced her to say Venn diagram instead of Venn diagram?
I just love that she's acting as if Adam Silver is sitting in some lab in New York going, unleash the COVID. We can't let Chris Paul do this.
It is funny because Chris Paul played through the shoulder Like, they separated his shoulder and he still played through it. So let's just give him COVID so the league can make him sit down. That is a good point.
Well, she's acting like there was a sniper in that Lakers game that shot Chris Paul in the shoulder. Like the grassy knoll, they're coming. And look, there's no conspiracy when it comes down to now it's Suns versus Clippers. Like, this is not, the league wasn't like, please, let's get these two franchises together. But Chris Paul has dealt with some of the more unbelievably ridiculous things that have come in his way. I mean, think about it. And this epitomizes it to me. The shoulder, the COVID now, and the uncertainty of when he'll be able to play, all of this. How appropriate would it be? How big of a capstone to his career would it be to win a title in this year, where he is facing all these roadblocks that keep getting thrown in front of him? It is a microcosm of what he's faced his entire career. I can't wait to see him back out there, because I think he's going to be even extra motivated after coming out of this, because he's had to be away from the team for this last week.
No, I mean, I agree. I think this is his best chance to win an NBA championship. Let's just say if we moved on, and we're not going to talk about the offseason or anything like that, but let's just say if he came back next year and we didn't add any other superstar to the roster, right? Everybody else comes back fresh and healthy, and okay, now it's kind of a more even playing field to some degree, right? I think because of what's going on in the NBA right now, and people are dropping like flies all over the league. Like, this is the best chance. Whatever you want to say about it, this is the best chance the Phoenix Suns have ever had to win an NBA championship. And this is Chris Paul's best chance. And so, God help him. I hope he gets to come back and play, because man, what a tragedy that would be if he didn't get to play.
I got another stat. Play the thing, or just have me do it?
Today, baby.
It's a triple stat because of the 16.5.
At your age, I didn't know you could go three times in one show.
Dude, I got stories. Okay, anyway. Stats.
He's the tantric of stat me.
Stats. So the Suns, this will be the Suns' 10th Western Conference Finals. How many times do you think they've had the home court advantage?
Twice.
Ooh, no, I'm going to say like 7 times.
Which two do you think it would be? That's 2. Which 2 do you think it is, Espo?
93 and one of the 7 seconds or less teams. The 06.
First one.
They're the first one. Okay.
Yeah. 93 and the first 7 seconds or less. They haven't, because they didn't make the conference finals in 07. So this is the first time they've been in a conference final. Third time, sorry. They'll have home court advantage in the conference finals. 93 was the first one. They made it to the finals. The only time they didn't was the Borg, when the Borg came in and beat the Suns. They actually beat the Suns first 2 games at home. The Clippers are not the Borg. So I'm feeling really good about the Suns making the finals again. And yes, the Suns have nothing to apologize for. The Suns have had so much bad luck with injuries, suspensions, all that. Nothing to apologize for. No one remembers what players were playing for what teams. They only remember what team won the championship. That's all that matters.
Well, talking about Chris Paul, we had our friend put together a breakdown of just how historically great ChrisUl is. It's from Suns Film Room. Let's check it out.
Suns Video Breakdown.
Suns Video Breakdown.
Is the last of a dying breed. A pass-first, pick-and-roll savant and king of the mid-range, he's 1 in a million. At 36 years of age, he's playing perhaps some of the best basketball in his career. And he's not stopping just yet. But what makes him so good? There are a few levels in his game that we need to focus on to even begin to understand how great he really is. The first level is his mid-range dominance. This postseason, Chris has made 29 mid-range jumpers on 54% shooting. That's the second most makes behind only Kevin Durant. And keep in mind, he's done that with a hurt shoulder too. During the regular season, he made 197 mid-range buckets on a sizzling 52% efficiency. That was most in the league. Remember, he's 6 feet tall, man. He was 36 years old this season. Look at the last game, for instance. He made 10 mid-range jumpers on 67% shooting. Watch how he reacts to the defense in these clips. He's not forcing anything. He's just taking what the defense is giving him. Now, the second level is his ball handling and control. Chris's ability to change speeds, change directions, and stop on a dime with the ball make him so difficult to defend. And one thing I love about his game is he plays with the same pace regardless of how the D is playing him. He's always calm, collected, and he's in control. Take a look here. As Chris comes down the floor, Ayton's right there to screen. Austin Rivers knows this and prepares to fight through. He doesn't want CP3 going middle. However, Chris knows this too. To keep Rivers off balance though, he gives him a quick hesitation dribble to act like he's going to go right. It's so subtle, but it forces Rivers to pounce. And then Chris rams him into the Ayton screen. And now we're in drop coverage, and Chris begins snaking. Watch how he uses his body to keep Rivers on his back. At the same time, he has the ball on a string, keeping it just out of reach of the MVP. After finally drawing in 4 defenders, he dishes it, and Mikal sinks the open 3. Here's another example. Watch Chris Paul punish his man with a misdirection. Austin's on the hip of DA, about to get screened. Chris crosses left, but Rivers gets through it. Now he sees this, so he spins back the other way and leads Austin into a brand new screen. This one works much better, and he's off attacking the Nuggets drop coverage. One more. Chris Paul sees the screen coming. He doesn't speed up, he doesn't slow down, he keeps his pace, but gives a nice inside dribble to get his man leaning, and then he goes the other way. And finally, level 3. Chris Paul's basketball IQ and ability to play make. He's able to make the right reads on such a consistent basis that a turnover for Chris Paul is always a surprise. His ability to see what's happening on the court, to process all that information in his head in a split second, and then react accordingly is so amazing. Take a look at what's happening here. The Suns start out in horns, and Dario sets a down screen for Cam, who then sets a screen for Chris Paul. Chris then drives while Dario rolls. He sees the defense rotating and throws the bounce pass to keep the ball safe. Sarge gets it and pump fakes, but McGee rotates, and he has to pass it back out. Now normally this is a point where a lot of players would simply hoist it up or try to ISO. Not Chris. He knows he's open, but he also knows he can loosen up the defense even more. He gives a subtle pump fake and swings past MPJ. Now he's open in the mid-range. He knows the corner defense has to rotate, so he lets it come and dishes the ball at the last second. Bucket. Or watch here, as Chris floats at the top and gets screened. The thing to note is he's not even worried about the defenders that are in front of him. He's looking at his corners, and once that defense begins to rotate, it's already over. Another great example. Watch the Suns run double drag. One screener dives while the other pops out for 3. In this particular one, we see Chris Paul again having eyes in the corner. The moment the rotation comes, he dishes it and makes the defense pay. Chris Paul is such a pleasure to watch. There's so much more to his game than can be discussed in a single video. Phoenix is so fortunate to have him, and hopefully, he's able to not only win his first title, but also bring this great city its first championship.
Look, the eye test, we all know how great Chris Paul is, but when you see it broken down like that, it is unbelievable his court vision and how important he is to what this team does. I mean, he and Devin Booker are the monsters of the mid-range. There's no doubt about it. There's never been, I feel comfortable in saying there's never been quite a duo like that from mid-range and what they've been able to do. And that video highlights how important it's going to be to try to figure out how you fill that hole if he's out in game 1 and potentially game 2. How do you stem the tide despite not having that guy? And Etuan Moore, you're going to have him step up campaign, potentially Javon Carter in defensive situations, although he's more of a 2. That just hammers home how difficult it is to play without Chris Paul and how dangerous game 1 could be. It could be the ultimate trap game as the first game in a series for this Suns team, because you don't want to lose home court in game 1 because of the Chris Paul factor.
What we've seen so far, though, is Devin Booker comes right out focused as heck. I mean, in these playoffs, every single really important game, Devin Booker has stepped up, made his shots, and that's the key: is making those early shots to keep everybody honest and calm. And you got Monty Williams in the huddles, keeping people calm, saying the right things. Look, Ty Lue is a really good coach for the Clippers in that they give him credit for keeping them calm when there's potential moments for panic. And obviously their former coach for the Clippers is not as good at that. And he's showing it again with Philadelphia. So I really think Ty Lue is a really good coach, but so is Monty Williams in that same regard. He keeps people honest and keeps them straight, keeps their heads straight, keeps them in the game. I think it's going to be fine. I would not be surprised to see Etuan Moore actually get a start. Maybe not game 1, but if Chris Paul's out again in game 2, only because I really like Cam Payne as a change of pace in the role that he's got. I wouldn't necessarily bump everybody up a level. I'd really just try to fill in where Chris Paul is missing at the beginning of the game, and then just see how it goes the rest of the game. Cam Payne can get really excitable. Sometimes that's in good ways and bad ways. I love that Cam controls the ball. He doesn't get turnovers. Same thing with Etuan Moore. You can trust him not to commit turnovers. That's going to be real key too. So it's obviously the Suns are not going to be as good without Chris Paul. But as we see with the Clippers, you can still be really good without your all-NBA player, your best player.
Yeah, I agree. But the other thing that I think we all kind of overlook is the Chris Paul effect on this team as a whole, and how it has taken effect the entire season. So I think without him in this game, I think Chris Paul's presence for the duration of this season will still be there, obviously, when they get into the first game of this playoff, and they'll harken back to some of the things that he said, the calmness that he's presented, and the focus that he's really presented these guys all season long, and that won't be any different. That won't change. And Monty will do a great job of making sure these guys are ready to go in game 1. I'm not too concerned if Chris Paul misses game 1 or even game 2. The only concern I would have is if the Suns were to drop 1 or 2, then I'd be a little worried. But
here's a couple of.
I feel like in game 1 specifically, I'm not as concerned as maybe most people might be, because you've got a lot of emotion, you've got a lot of hype, and you've got a lot of energy if you're the Suns, and you're ready to come out and just blow the roof off this place in game 1. So I'm fairly confident in the Suns in game 1.
Yeah, I tend to be the same way. I kind of wonder if Monty, the ultimate chess player, as we've seen, is there a chance he goes a little unexpected? Slides Book to the 1, starts with him, so the ball's in his hand.
No, fuck.
I don't know.
I'm just gonna have 10 turnovers at halftime if that's the way it goes.
I just wonder. I actually think he's more likely to start Etuan than Cam.
Yeah, no, I was about to boo you off the stage, to be honest.
Boo.
Boo.
I don't think he will, but I'm just wondering, is there something he does that puts the Clippers on their heels if CP3 is out in game 1, which
you're just
my
going to ride
gut
on
is
this
saying
hill,
he
aren't
will.
you? Yeah, no. Please, no Devin Booker at the 1. He doesn't have the chops to keep. You've got to reduce turnovers. The Clippers can beat you in transition threes when your defense is scrambling. You've got to make it so that your defense has time to set up as many times as possible down there. And Book has just way too many turnovers to be the 1. He's great as a secondary ball handler. He's just not strong enough as a primary to keep the game under control. So God, I really hope not. And Monty has shown that he is a huge, if anything else, Monty has shown he's a huge fan of not point Dario, please. Monty has shown that he's a huge,
in the chat. No.
He's a huge fan of positional, like traditional positions, like he really likes big power forward. He tried to put Aaron Baines next to Deandre Ayton last year. Remember that? He's a big fan of putting Frank Kaminsky, Dario next to Ayton when they needed to go big. He's not going to give up a point guard position, at least in starting. It could be that the second half has a lot of point Book going of a game once he knows how Book is going to be handling the ball that game. But I wouldn't start out a game like that.
Can we bring back Point Bender? Do we remember that from Summer League?
Wow.
Oh man.
You got to remember where you've been
That's
enjoy
what
where
you want to
are.
do in Western Conference Finals is bring back Point Bender.
I got my butt chewed out the very first week I was at the time Fox Sports Arizona, because I tweeted out it was a preseason game, and and Bender came in, airballed 4 shots and threw the ball over everybody's head twice on 6 straight possessions, and I was like, that might be the worst 3-minute span of basketball I've ever seen in my life. And somebody chewed me out. They said, you can't do that.
You know what I love is I've never taken crap for the autographed Dragan Bender jersey card that sits behind me on this show as a remembrance of Bender Island.
Well, you will now.
But anyway, let's get back to the here and now, right? We're looking at it. Do you think CP3 misses game 1, Dave? Why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I really do think he misses game 1. I think that's been assumed that he was not going to be cleared by Sunday. That's not that there needs to be a 7 days or anything like that involved, but he's got to get consecutive negative tests 24 hours apart. Is it possible that he gets a negative today and a negative tomorrow? Yes, that's quite possible. Will he try? Absolutely. I guarantee Chris Paul is sitting there at the clinic or wherever it is nonstop. He's probably not even moving, just sitting at that table waiting for his next test. I guarantee
he's probably doing a swab an hour. Just here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's no way Chris Paul is going to under test himself for this, but it's pretty well. The other thing that gave it away to me, and I don't have any inside info, guys, but the other thing that gave it away to me is the campaign and Mikal Bridges. Well, first of all, okay, so they had post-practice interviews yesterday. Sorry. Monty Williams was pretty – he's like, if we're missing Chris Paul, then we'll do some this and that and the other thing. But when Cam Payne and Mikal Bridges were interviewed, they were just already talking about next man up. They were already ready to go game 1 without Paul, without saying it. Whereas, when Chris Paul hurt his shoulder, Cam Payne was the first one to say, God, I really miss Chris out there. I really want Chris to be out there. I want him to get healthy, blah, blah, blah. We need him. Yesterday, Cam Payne was just like, next man up. We're all ready to go. So I think these guys have accepted that Chris Paul's out at least game 1.
Yeah, I mean, they'll all be ready, and I'm not good at reading tea leaves, so apparently Dave is. So I'm just I don't know what these players are thinking. I don't know what's been said behind closed doors. So I'm just going to go off of what I see at face value. The Suns will be prepared for game 1 without Chris Paul. Should he come back, that's a bonus. I think they're all preparing as if he's not. They've been practicing all week without him, so they'll be ready to go. I think Chris Paul will probably miss game 1, but again, I don't have any sources that say that. I don't have any information. We're going to find out today.
I'm just looking at those tea leaves.
Yeah, we're going to find out today. Some more official word on that, and hopefully, we all got to pray for the best. But hey, these Suns are plenty good enough to beat the Clippers in game 1, and even in the series without Chris Paul.
I do have sources that are telling me that this gentleman has been. Let me see if can you see my screen right now, boys? This gentleman has been taking the COVID tests over the last few days to ensure that they come back negative. It is the new Chris Paul. That's Alfonso Romero there. Carlton.
If our guy is asymptomatic, couldn't he just wear his glasses and come in as Cliff Paul and then get activated?
I'm willing to sacrifice the new Chris Paul and Cliff Paul in ritual sacrifice to the basketball
gods. He could put on Jalen Smith's goggles. Chris Paul could put on Jalen's goggles and come out.
Look, I don't think he's going to play game 1.
Wear Javon Carter's uniform. Come on.
There's just so many things that have pointed at that being the concern, that if it was Tuesday, people felt like it was going to be in the clear. I just don't think he's going to play on Sunday. And that makes it slightly more difficult. But Saul, to your point earlier, I don't think we're going to see. What are the chances? Well, knock on wood. I shouldn't say it that way.
For real. If you were about to say what I thought you were about to say, bro, come on now.
The likelihood of
You're teasing the gods.
the likelihood of a Frank Jackson, right? Reggie Jackson or Terrence Mann, crazy game again is probably slim with the way the Suns defense plays. So then it's going to come down to how much can Paul George carry the Clippers? What does that look like? But we haven't even talked about the best part of what this series could mean, gentlemen. The Suns could knock out the entire Morai in this playoffs if they beat the Clippers, having taken out the Lakers in round 1 and having a shot at the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. I don't know that there's much better than that.
It's pretty sweet. I know Gambo would get the limo for them.
Oh yeah, well,
wouldn't it be great if Chris Paul could actually beat his Clippers, his former team, in the Western Conference Finals to make the finals, to prove that he wasn't the problem on that team?
It would be fantastic. I mean, granted, it is a much different team, but he could defeat his former team and then get to take on Blake Griffin in the finals and exercise a lot of demons for himself there as well. So look, forget the limo. I'll pull up the jet. All right, I'll spend the money for the jet to send the Morai somewhere to enjoy their off season once they eliminate Marcus. But X Factor, boys, who do we think the X Factor in this series is going to be? Dave, let's start with you.
Game 1 or the whole series?
Let's start with game 1, then we can talk the whole series as an X Factor as well.
I think the X Factor in game 1 has to be who takes the minutes that Cam and Devin don't for Chris Paul. So assuming Chris Paul is out, can Etuan Moore just tread water? If they give extra minutes to Torrey Craig and they don't play Etuan Moore, maybe they just go with big wings for all the extra minutes. It's quite possible that the Suns do that. And can those guys tread water? That's what you've got to have. If you've got a 0, plus minus or whatever, whatever the easiest stat is to use, when those guys are coming off the bench and taking some of Chris Paul's minutes, that's the X factor to me. If they get blasted off the court during those minutes, then obviously we got a problem.
I think in game 1 specifically, for me, it's always going to be DA. I know that's not really much of a reach to say that, but I just feel like his importance in game 1 specifically without Chris Paul. And I know what Dave's argument was about, not expecting too much on the offensive side of the ball from DA, but I think in this particular game, we should have a little bit of a higher expectation for DA offensively. If he's been getting 14, give me 18 to 20. That's all I'm asking. You know what I mean? And he did that against the Lakers, right? He did that easily against the Lakers. So I think he's fully capable of doing it. And I think on the defensive end, I'm just curious to see how he's going to be a better matchup against this Clippers team when they do try to go small, and he does have to try and guard Batum on the wing. I mean, Gobert, let's be honest. Gobert last night, there was many times where he didn't even he put a hand up, but he was still like 10 feet away. It wasn't even close. DA is not going to be that far back, and we've seen plenty of times where DA has blocked shots on the wing. So, I'm excited to see that, and I'm expecting a lot of things from DA.
I think it's going to be like it has been through most of the playoffs. The fans, you've got home court advantage. They've been fantastic enough that the national media took notice, which takes a lot when you're the Phoenix Suns. They're going to help carry this team in game 1 if there's no Chris Paul. That's just that energy that they're going to be able that they can feed off of. They're going to be able to carry them. And then for the series, I'll just throw this out. I think Kawhi Leonard is the X factor. If he can play, which I don't expect it. Look, I really don't. But if there's some reason that the Clippers haven't said anything because there is a chance that he could play, that could swing the series to get him back for the Clippers. And what version of him you get back?
Do you think the Kawhi Clippers are better than the healthy Suns?
I don't know, but in the playoffs, it's not necessarily are you the better team? It's, do you have the momentum at the time? And a return of a guy like that, it can swing momentum, and that just concerns me, right?
They've also been wildly inconsistent with Kawhi in the fold, and they've been much better without him. Let's be honest about that. As a team, they've been much better.
I get it, but that's still the same guy that found a way to carry the Raptors to a championship. That's a guy that had such an impact on those San Antonio teams. Like, that guy coming back could provide an emotional lift that becomes an X factor in this series, and that's concerning.
I would also say that my X factor for the entire series is actually kind of, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to say it's a combination of Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. I think if those two guys can show up big and at least neutralize what Frank Jackson, Reggie Jackson, and Man can do on their end, I think they'll be easily they'll win this game, this series easily. But if they get outplayed, then you're in trouble. But I have a suspicion that is not going to be the case. I think Mikal Bridges and specifically Cam Johnson. Cam's going to have a game. I just feel it in this series. He's going to have a game. And you're going to be like, there he is. That's what we've been waiting for a while. And defensively, he's good. He's solid. He gives you a little punch here and there on offense. But I'm feeling a bigger game coming for him in this series.
Look, in the chat, we've got some people. A lot of people are saying Devin Booker as the X factor. Yeah. That guy's got to step up. He's got to have a big game in game one for sure. There's been several people, including Coda Kid, our man, definitely saying it's Devin Booker, and I can see that. I can see Booker getting definitely being that lightning rod of positive play to keep the guys level throughout the game in game one for sure. For the entire series, yeah, man. If Devin Booker's your 5-star player in the entire series, that's great. If he's your best player in the entire series, then that's awesome. DA is going to have to be one of the best players, one of the 2 or 3 best players in the whole series. I was not trying to downplay DA's influence or potential impact on the series. I was just trying to guide people away from the box score to judge it. That's all.
Yeah. Well, look, you have such depth on this team that there are any amount of guys that could wind up being a surprise X factor in this series. And that's why James Jones built the roster the way he did. So you have multiple people who can step in big moments or in moments of need and fill in those gaps. So it's going to be very interesting. But I don't care if it's Frank Jackson, Reggie Jackson, Michael Jackson, Miss Jackson, Action Jackson. None of it's going to matter because the Phoenix Suns are going to win this in 5 is what I'm going to say right here. I think the Clippers are the Clippers still. I think the Suns have what it takes and are rolling with or without Chris Paul. I think this crowd's going to carry them. There is something special going on in Phoenix. I'm going to say 5, and I don't care if Terrence Mann wants to come over and smack me in this walk-in closet. That's what I think it is.
I will say this too, and to Dave, I know in the side chat had mentioned this, but I think the Clippers and the Suns hate each other more than the Lakers and the Suns for sure. And
I don't think fan bases, but on court, yes.
I don't know. Even watching the Clippers celebrate last night, like they won the damn NBA championship, it just irritated me. I was like, really? Like you're that? I mean, I get it. They've never been to the Western Conference Finals, 50 years running. Cool. But it's just something about that team that I just do not like at all. And I think that goes to the DA point because DA, when it gets physical and kind of nasty out there, DA kind of gets up for those kind of games a little bit. And so I'm excited to see it. I do. I'm so excited for this series. We're in the Western Conference Finals, baby. Let's go.
Look, I don't think we're going to be talking about the fight in the stands in this series. I think we're going to be talking about
it's going to be on the court,
on the damn court. That's what's going to happen. These teams, we've talked about it. The Clippers are a damn irritant, right? They're sand in your jock strap. They're the kid kicking the back of your seat in an airplane, right? But the thing is, for once in Suns history, we're the ones who knock, baby. We're the annoying guys that are going to get under skin even more, which makes this such a bizarre series because these are two teams that make the other team really dislike them. And that's a recipe for some explosiveness, right?
I got a question for you guys. Is Jay Crowder going to get suspended for a game in this series?
No.
So Jay Crowder has 4 technicals so far. If you get 7, you're suspended for the next game. That's the only 3 techs he can accumulate. 2 techs he can accumulate in this whole series. I feel like that's a tightrope.
Nope. He'll save that 7th tech for the playoffs when he salsa dances in the clinching game in the finals. So he'll hit you with the salsa dance, peace out, and release.
We're all going to get down on the court and salsa dance with Jay, man. After when they clinch the finals, that would be great.
Think about this. This is a team with Marcus Morris, who we all know is damn annoying. Patrick Beverly, which Devin Booker and Patrick Beverly are going to go toe to toe in this series. And I think Devin Booker is going to get him to hit that pouty face again. You remember that iconic photo where we're going to see Patrick Beverly pouting like he's my 4-year-old when I tell her, no, we can't read another book. It's time for bed. All right.
Pat Devin Booker freeze last night like he was damn Steph Curry. I was like, come on, bro.
Yeah. Look, Paul George can be damn annoying too, but the Suns have got those guys too. Jay Crowder gets under your skin. Devin Booker gets under your skin. CP3 can really get under your skin. Like this is going to be fun. And Saul said it right.
Fun series.
It's time to enjoy the hell out of this, right?
Yeah.
It's the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens, this is
every minute.
Yeah, this is what 11 years of crap. This is what the timeline was meant for, and that's where we are now. Before we get out of here, because we're running up against time, I want to announce something. Big announcement on the show here. We have a new partner. It is. Do you want to hit the? I think we have a video.
Barkley, 20-footer, yes, for the tie.
Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Solar Panel. I'm your host, Greg Esposito. Joining me, as always, the Silver Fox, Dave King. Saul Bookman. Saul, how are you?
Well, not too bad, Hey,
we
talking about some good stuff today. So
the
official
let's get to it. Gear of the Solar Panel coming from our friends at Sadaka starting tomorrow. You'll be able to find it throughout our social media. But we thought, hey, when you get the Western Conference Finals starting, you might as well drop some merch, right? So we got some merch coming for you. I love, the first shirt I think you guys are going to love. We got multiple shirts coming with our friends over there. Looking forward to it. They are Valley made, and that is important to us, is working with people that we appreciate around the Valley. I love that the audio only version of the show, people think we just restarted the show there because there was no audio announcing that. But yes, we are dropping some merch for you, the fans. It'll be nice.
I'm excited.
Also,
I'm very, very excited that you guys showed the clips of me in that promo where I look like I'm a little special boy.
Oh, I requested find the clips that make Dave look the worst and put them in any promo we have. That is part of my contract to continue doing this show, just so you know. So,
point taken.
Look, and then we always have to say a big thank you to our friends over at Manscaped. But since we are playing the Clippers, I refuse to promote anything that is a Clipper. So we're going to have to promote their the Plow 2.0, a razor. You can get that for your balls. Yeah, maybe not your balls. I don't know if you want to, but around the area. There's just they've got sprays, they've got t-shirts,
they got lotions for your boys down there to kind of refresh everything. It's not pina colada butt lotion, but it's close. It's close.
They got boxers that are nice for the boys. I can tell you that. Yeah. So we're gonna tease our friends at Manscaped with not promoting their Clipper for the entire series. We will promote other things. C-Buck Star says, I'm not plowing my balls.
Yeah, but
good choice. Good choice.
I like how we get plowed.
Look, so if you so I'm not reading that. Only the YouTube gets to enjoy that. So if you want to hit up any of the Manscaped items that aren't Clippers, or if you want to pick up one of their their lawnmower 4.0.
Too early for this, people are saying.
Hit the code Flaming Ballers at checkout, save 20%. Get free shipping. That's code Flaming Ballers at checkout. Save 20%. Get free shipping at manscaped.com. I apologize to them, but we're not using clippers in this series. So, boys, we are almost at time here. So we're hours away from game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Something that not many of us would have predicted for this year. But what is the one thing that stands out to you about this series, and what is your prediction? Dave, we'll start with you.
Well, look, the only question is how many games the Suns are going to win in. They've closed out both series on the road, so I don't mind saying something like Suns in 6. But I'm gonna go all out. I'm gonna say Suns in 5 in this one.
Oh, way to copy, Dave. That's all. Go ahead.
Well, if you didn't like Dave's answer, I can assure you won't like mine as well. I don't know why, but I've had this sneaky suspicion that the Suns are just on another level right now than a lot of the NBA, and so I would agree. Suns in 5. The only reason why I'm not saying Suns in 4 is because you don't know about the status of Chris Paul in game 1, and that's the only kind of up in the air game that I believe. Now, with that being said, the Clippers fans also showed up last night, and they were pretty loud as well, and they got really raucous. And that was the first time that they were able to have a full stadium or a full arena. So again, I'm excited to watch this series. I think it's going to be a good series, and I'm excited to watch the Phoenix Suns play basketball and hopefully get back to the NBA Finals for the first time.
I was worried. Sorry. Yes. First time in a very, very freaking long time. I was 9 the last time they were in the finals. All right.
Yeah,
so let's keep that in mind. Look, Darth Voida, our friend from Suns Jam Session in the chat, said, are we afraid that the week off killed momentum? I was concerned about that until the Chris Paul news. And then to me, that locked them in. Any chance of your mind wandering or the time off being a detriment went away when that became a potential reality, that they knew they had to work their asses off to be prepared to play without Chris Paul. I think it did them a favor in terms of that with the 7 days off. So I'm not concerned about that. I see a team that has had focus all year, and I don't think Monty Williams let them get happy on the farm in the last 7 days.
I agree with that.
Darth, no. I was not 37 the last time the Suns made the finals.
No, he was 45. Thank you very much. He was on his 14th marriage, and he was 45 when the Suns went to the finals the last time. No, look, this is going to be one hell of a ride. It starts Sunday at 12:30 on ABC. Thank you to the Clippers for making Father's Day one of the most complex days I think I'm ever going to have to navigate, between trying to honor my father, watching the game, doing a post-game show, and trying to honor my father-in-law. Sunday's going to be one hell of a day.
Being
and
honored.
Yourself. And how about being honored? You're a dad as well.
Look, it's never about me. It never has been. It never will be.
This entire show is always about you. What are you talking about?
I know, right? That's why he has this show. So something's about him.
Might as well be called the Espo Solar Panel.
It used to be. It was going to be named the Espo Show, but then I thought, Dave and Tim are going to show up, so maybe we should call it something else. We can still change it though, if anybody wants to.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Yes. Enjoy
your morning. Make everybody make you breakfast in bed or whatever it is, and then get down and watch the Suns game.
Yeah, baby.
And get ready for Devin Booker to become a father tomorrow, because he's going to stick it to the Clippers. He's going to be their daddy. All right.
Oh, snap.
Look at that. You got
On
Dave King
comment.
next to me. You can follow him at Dave King NBA. The NBA is there because, well, he's got to feel a little bit better about being as old as he is. And on Father's Day, he realizes just how old he is when he realizes how old his children are. And then you've got at Saul Bookman. You can follow him at Saul_Bookman. The underscore is there because you got to fit a championship trophy in somewhere, and then Saul had to make that space. So that's why he put that there. I mean, granted, he's been waiting like what is it, 10 years to get that in there, but it's been there a while. But so somebody suggesting the Solar Espo. Yes, we can call this the Solar Espo. I am your host, Greg Esposito. Always a pleasure to have you here. We will talk to you next time tomorrow after the game with the Suns Jam Session. Until then, ahoy hoy.
Barkley, 20-footer, yes, for the tie. Her turnaround shot in the air. It's good. Finds the Barkley puts it up. Does it count? It does. Shango does.